Well, I really would consider autonomous driving to be basically a solved problem.
Even in cities like Beijing and...
Yeah. Actually, there's really only one area where it's like a little dodgy, and that's basically if you're at roughly the 30 to 40 miles an hour in urban environments, that's difficult to achieve in Beijing. It's like heavy traffic. In dense traffic situations, autonomy is really easy because you can just maintain a set distance from various cars. It's actually quite easy. You're very unlikely to run anyone over because you're just not moving fast enough, and you can brake in time. On highways, particularly highways that are that have barriers, so that you don't have pedestrians, that's also relatively easy. And like a Model S and Model X at this point can drive autonomously with greater safety than a person right now.
Yeah. My point is, when does it get to be where you don't need to be sitting behind a vehicle, and it actually, the way that society starts expecting this is, I can have my 75-year-old mother who doesn't speak any English or doesn't drive, be able to be transported from point A to point B by just sitting in a car by herself and being taken. I know it's technically possible, but how far do you think the regulatory approvals are for that happening?
I think we're basically less than 2 years away from complete autonomy.
Wow.
Complete. Safer than a human. However, regulators will take, I think, at least another year, and because it's going to depend on what part of the world you're in, because they will want to see billions of miles of data to show that it is statistically true that there is a substantial improvement in safety if something's autonomous versus not autonomous. I don't think that regulators will accept something that's close to, that's sort of approximately as good as a person. I think they'll have to be at least twice as good as a person, maybe 5 or 10 times, better in terms of safety, and that will have to be a statistically relevant data set. So like billions of miles over widely differing roads and situations. So I think it's like probably 3 years before it's from a regulatory standpoint, but less than 2 before it is technically possible.
And do you think there's a day when it's illegal to drive for humans, or
Well, I mean, we live in a democracy, so presumably that would be a function of the population deciding. I'm not in favor of banning people from driving cars. I'm in favor of freedom and not restricting what people do. But maybe the requirements for a license will get more stringent. I think that seems like maybe a good move. So you have to demonstrate a higher level of skill to drive in order to be allowed to manually drive.